Hello guys and welcome to Front Row Racing. I'm FRRC2GY85 and we are now live. This is our World Championships Reserve first event of the season official. We finally got there. Just before I introduce who's on comms with me this evening, I will go through a couple of settings we had to turn off to get there. That would be formation lap. Seems to be causing a couple of problems on syncing back up when they come back round from the formation lap, so we're keeping it off until further notice. And quickly, it's the safety car, causing a few minor issues, but the biggest one we noticed in testing behind the scenes is it is coming out for the wrong reasons, just like F1 2016. Someone has an incident, crash, whatever. When they leave the session, not when they've retired, it's coming out still. So for safety purposes, we're keeping it off. Other than that, we are now live. We are now going. Joining me this evening is Lord JB and Curly Willy. How are you two this evening?
At the moment when you try to decide who goes first. I'm well. How are we all? I think we're going to have a good race tonight, aren't we?
Hopefully. But is old Curly Willy there? Has he got a bit silent on us?
No, I'm here. I'm hoping for some rain tonight. Spice it up, first race of the season. Should be interesting.
Should be interesting as we go. But what we're going to do, I know it's a bit late starting, so what we're going to do right now is me and Lord JB are going to spectate up. Curly Willy, if he can ready up, he's going to be jumping down in the pit lane through qualifying this evening, so he's the lucky one, gets to see the weather, see what's going on, and keep us updated on sector times better than some of the viewing purposes we get. But Codemasters again have done a fantastic job. So guys, interesting little grid, not a great turnout, but we've got some drivers that have moved up like Caribbean Crush and Kane Leander, and a few up and comers and the likes of Valdemar from the WS. It should be a little bit of an interesting race with the 10 drivers we've got here this evening.
I'll let Curly handle that one because I'm not too familiar with non-assists, seeing as he's travelled from the assists to the non-assists. How is it for you, Curly?
I think it was harder on F1 2016. It's a little easier in this game. I think as we see the season go on, that more and more people will try their hand at no assists. Just the traction and braking is easier, so there's a little bit less to learn. But yeah, I mean, we've got a really good grid of drivers tonight, actually. A couple guys in here that have joined the World Championship from the World Series and the World Series reserves. It's interesting to see how those guys get on, but also the reserve drivers. Yeah, we've got some pretty quick drivers in here, and obviously there is that one reserve spot available. The rookie car spot for Australia next week. So these guys are going to be competing head-to-head for that.
That is correct there, as Curly Whirly touched upon. It is a little spot the admins leave open. We keep one team aside because we have one less team on the grid this time round. We have a spare car that we give to the admins pick rookie, someone who could be out the blue, could be someone that performs well, etc, but it's your chance to go up against the likes of World Championship drivers, and we do it for the World Series. So it's a nice way of the last admin team that are around, instead of breaking drivers in and getting them used to racing against drivers, they could be going wheel to wheel. I mean, Curly Whirly, we've touched upon it through test sessions. Did it help you learn how to figure out drivers when you've got a permanent seat? And oh my god, Curly Whirly,
that's your a bit of Wayne.
Dream.
Yeah, hold on here. We've got a completely wet qualifying session. However, it does look like we have a dry race. So yeah, I'm really stoked about this, because we're just going to have a completely flat out qualifying session. No sort of no mind giving to strategy here. It's just going to be who can go out and make the best of these conditions. And qualifying in the rain in Australia is a very tricky affair. I mean, you've got a fairly high-speed circuit with the walls being very close. There's not a huge amount of grip in the wet, so yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one.
Oh, you're not the only one. JB, your thoughts going into this qualifying session as we see a few cars? Wow, actually, like I'd say old Curly Willy predicted there, they're all firing out like you going along with. Lord JB, your thoughts, and try and keep your eyes on the action, guys.
I think it might be a topsy-turvy grid today. Whoa. Jason there, having a bit of an issue coming out of the pits, I believe. Or was it Valdemar? One of the two. I still haven't caught the grips with the UI now, so just give me a break if I get it wrong.
No, we're all learning up in the comms box, Lord JB, so just go along, see what you can figure out as you go. I'm the one that's got to get it right on the live stream, so I won't worry too much, guys. But no, have a nose. I'm on board with off board, sorry, with Drew at present in the McLaren. Possible bit of lag there, but we'll see how it goes. Just flicking through the audio, guys, it looks like all drivers may actually be out, apart from the likes of Kane Leander at the moment.
Yeah, Kane and Schumi aren't out, and neither is RDB.
I think one interesting point for this session has got to be what setup do you go for. In F1 2016, if it was a wet qualifying and a dry race, you'd almost always put your dry setup on. But on this game, I think it's much more of a question. We know how difficult it is to overtake, especially around a track like this. You could go for a wet setup and get yourself further up the grid and then just try and defend in the race, because defending it, especially at this track, is doable. So it'll be interesting to see if anybody takes that gamble.
Oh, it will indeed. I mean, oh Lord, I just want to congratulate you on getting your World Series permanent seat. I mean, what's your thoughts? What would your thoughts be going into a race like this, possibly next week in the World Series?
I'd be scared. I don't have the pace in the wet. I already know I don't. But I think if I was coming into this session, I'd think, right, focus on the race. Qualifying would pretty much be out the window for me. I'd either start at the back or I'd do one lap and just hope for the best. But whereas you're in these positions yourself, Dave, with being in the championship. How would you come to it?
Hey, if you didn't see Mexico last year, mate, it was a doddle. I just let myself down when I got a puncture. But moving on. No, it's very, very tricky here. It's as Curly said, it's one of those ones. But given the conditions going into dry, you've got to go with a dryish setup. Try and get the most out of your car, I'd say. But different drivers have different ways of driving. I mean, Curly Willy is probably more of an attacking driver, and I'm more of a just conservative, consistent driver. So different ways of looking at it, but I always love a challenge myself. I mean, I know Curly Willy does, and I think our championship's going to be interesting this evening. But currently, guys, might want to focus on the drivers a little bit. But yeah, I was on board with Shimi Garcia, and the conditions do look rather tricky. He's had a couple of moments already. Anybody you guys are on board with?
Yeah, I'm on board with Danny Rilton at the moment. He's halfway through his lap, and yeah, the conditions look pretty treacherous. He's been spinning up the rears a lot, couple of lockups. He's had a major mistake, and actually he spun it right round. I think that's turn 13 there. It's a very difficult corner, even in the dry. And he's just, I think, gone down one too many gears and lost the rear of the car. And that's something you've got to be aware of in the wet. That if you go down too many gears, the rear of the car will kick out, and you'll be facing the wrong way.
Oh yeah, no, and unfortunately for the gentleman who's there himself, sorry, is I jumped on board with him, Curly Willy, so caught a little bit at the moment. So yeah, but he might be lining up for a second flying lap here. Would you like to jump on board and take us through his lap?
Alright, so on board is Danny Rilton. We're looking towards the first corner, braking well before 100 meters in the wet. He hits that apex nicely. Could perhaps use a little bit more track on the entry, but that's a pretty good corner all the same. Reasonable exit out there now, coming down towards turn 3. He's quite late on the brakes in the wet conditions, but he gets it slowed down nicely. That's a really big piece of work on the braking. Turn 4 is a fairly fast left-hander. Now you're going to have to do a little bit of a lift through turn 5 in the wet, which he does. Good stuff through here. This is a difficult corner, easy to invalidate your lap up here at turn 6. But he's done a pretty reasonable job. He's just losing the rear end a little bit again. I think he's just going down a couple too many gears. You want to keep it a little bit higher for that lap time. That's a really, really good job on the brakes there as well. He's staying away from these outside curbs. I think that's a good thing to do in the wet. The curbs can be particularly dangerous in wet conditions. So smart driving here from Danny Rilton. He knows this early on in the session. Although he's lost the rear a little bit out of turn 12. Very, very risky through there. He's almost put it in a wall, but he just about catches it. Good job from him. Braking just a little bit after 100 meters again, just leaving a lot of space to the outside of the track. Definitely just making sure he gets something on the board, which is crucial in these sessions, because you never know how many people are going to crash, and you can find yourself quite a long way up the grid with just a safe lap time. Coming around the final corner, very difficult traction zone. You've got to be very careful here. And he's negotiated that one pretty nicely, coming up to the line. and it's going to be a 1:39.5, which puts him P3 on the grid.
Not a bad lap there. It's quite nicely done, and yeah, you brought up some fair points there. I'll just elaborate on the curbs in the dry, Cody. They're a bit treacherous on their own, but in the wet, these guys must be suffering a bit. Lord JB, if you can just have a look, see if anyone else on a hot lap.
I've just looked on. I'm on board with Ken right now. He's on a quick lap. He's 1.4 seconds up on his last one. Reckoning he might just put himself around. He might be dodging for first. Might be dodging for second. Little lock up there coming into one of the left-handers, right-handers even.
Oh right.
Very smooth from what I've seen.
Unfortunately, I'm just going to stop you there with knowing Kane Leander is one of our World Championship drivers. This event we try to focus on the reserves just a little bit more, but if you keep an eye on his progress, it'll give these guys an idea of how they're doing and himself making this step forward. But currently, just to interrupt, I've jumped on board with Tarjam, one of our WCR drivers, come along, giving it a go towards the end of last season, and he's currently on a flying lap as we speak. Looking a bit more stable, but he just had a moment there, coming up towards the fast left-hander chicanes there. Looking quite stable though. Taking it in fifth. I'd have to agree with you there, Curly. These guys are taking it one gear too low. They should be holding the higher gear and just carrying the speed through as best they can. But
sorry to interrupt you.
Yep.
Valdemar's just had a moment, quite a hefty moment actually in sector 3. As I think he just dipped his wheel on the grass and just went flying into the wall. But he's still able to drive. He's
broken his wing as well. He's going to struggle to get back around and get another lap in with that wing damage.
Oh, fair point, yeah.
Ooh, that's a shame there. Just cut you off, guys. We've got Tarjan coming up to start-finish line. Looks quite a steady lap, but it's going to put him up there somewhere. And yeah, 4th place, 1:38.1. Not a bad lap there, but
he's just been pipped by Danny Railton by 0.05 of a second to be the fastest of the reserve drivers. So Tarjam's first sector was very good, 32.0, quicker than everyone apart from Kane. But it looks as if it was just that third sector he lost out by 0.4 to Danny Railton there. So possibly a change of difference in setups. Danny might have a higher downforce setup compared to Tarjam, and that might be why he's losing the time.
yeah, that could be very interesting going into a dry race if that's the forecast that you've been given, Curly. So it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds in the next session when we go into the 50%. Anybody else on our hot lap, guys? Looking good. Few drivers in, few drivers out. I'm currently on board with Jason. That's looking very, very steady at the moment. Maybe just trying to feel his way around Australian conditions as we speak.
Well, Jason hasn't set a lap time yet. I saw when all the cars came out, I saw he came back in pretty early. So he must either be really confident or really, really worried, hoping. Oh, he was really hoping. Sorry, for the Danny Railton must have crashed.
He's run out of fuel. He's out of fuel and he's just retired. He's not going to make it back around to the pits in time.
But Jason, he either was waiting for the conditions to get better, or he was so confident that he thought he didn't have to do a banker lap.
Wow, we're on board with him now, Lord JB. Would you like to take us around his lap of Australia?
Yeah, well, we've already done half his lap by now. Oh, you can hear his rear end sliding a bit. Might just be because I've got my music on quite loud. Not music, car sound on quite loud. But he's taking it rather smoothly now on his first actual flying lap. Oh, though he locks up there on his front right.
Looking a bit steady there. I'll tell you what, we'll come off board Jason for a minute, let him find his feet and have a nose to see if anybody else is on a fast lap at the moment. But I see Kane Leander, the World Championship driver, set at 1:36.6, so that's the time these WCR drivers are going to have to beat to knock him off that pedestal at the moment.
Tarjam's just gone even faster through the first sector, although it looks as if he's maybe backed off on his lap.
Yeah, he's retired.
Yeah, he has. He's just retired. He went quicker through sector 1, but he's obviously made a mistake somewhere.
Well, this is literally it. From now on, you can't do another lap after now. Well, unless you get round quickly enough.
Wow, that's
I don't
interesting.
think you will be able to.
One gentleman I've just jumped on board with who's having a bit of a moment on his outlap is Valdemar. You guys said he lost his front wing. I think he's been in and pushing like crazy trying to get round to start his lap with only 54 seconds to go halfway round. Is there anybody else on a hot lap before we see what Valdemar's going to do, guys, or should I stay on board with him?
I'm on board with Maznat at the moment. He's had a pretty tough first sector. He's coming through towards turns 11 and 12 now. And let's see how he takes this. Oh, turns in a little bit too early. Has to make a correction on the entry. Although, he's not too bad on the traction. He's done a good job on the exit of that corner, but a little bit of a mistake coming in.
Oh.
And
sorry to interrupt you, just coming in, you should see it on Maznat. Shumi Garcia, sorry.
Maznat is completely locked up and just gone straight on, but yeah, was that Valdemar in the wall?
Yeah, Valdemar's absolutely binned it into the wall. While I forget how to speak.
All interesting stuff as we go. Cars having a few problems in these conditions. We'll say at the moment we were on board with Maznat. We'll have a flick. If you guys can let me know if anybody's on a fast lap. I'm currently on board with Shumi Garcia.
We've got both Jason and Shumi Garcia on fast laps, as I've been kicked out of the screen. So that's me done pretty much.
Okay.
RDB's gone straight on at the just after the first corners.
Okay.
So he's got a damage wing. So that's the end of his qualifying.
No worries. If anybody else is on a hot lap and you see him, Lord JB, keep us updated. We're currently on board with Shumi Garcia, coming up to the final few corners now. Looking quite stable, runs a bit wide, taking a bit too much curb. They're very, very tricky in these conditions, are the Australian curbs. I reckon he's gone for a complete and utter dry setup here. I believe the ballast maybe in the rear of the car, the way the rear stepping out, but that's good for the dry, not so good for the wet. Coming around the final corner now. Opens up the throttle, keeps it straight, nails it. Now we're heading down to the line. Not a great lap time, but where's it going to put him? 5th place for 140.2.
Oh, so there goes Jason's hope there. He did qualify 5th himself just before Shumi got over.
Ooh, that's unfortunate there, but it's qualifying as it goes. Have we got anyone else on a hot lap, guys, or is that qualifying over?
Well, I can't move my slider, so I'm assuming that's qualifying over. Actually, none of my controls are working right now.
Okay, that would be the same as me, so I believe that's over, and we're just waiting for the time remaining to count down. Not a full grid this evening, guys, but it's been an interesting show and a big gap. I mean, we've got the likes of a WC driver of a Kane Leander with a 135 point something, didn't quite catch you there, and a big spread to the rear where I believe it was a 143 point something, so interesting. Oops, sorry, a 144. So it'd be interesting to see what these guys have gone through with setups and whatnot with a dry race, as Curly Willy said. But Curly Willy, would you like to take us through the grid as it stands?
And Curly has disappeared somewhere, probably.
Okay,
we'll have to run through the grid after we get to the formation lap.
Yeah, actually, if you could do that, Lord JB, once we get going, bring it up on the race director, if that's okay.
I shall do that.
Apologies about that, guys. It would seem Curly Willy has vacated the commentary box somewhere. We've all missed it.
I was muted. Oh,
there
dear.
We go.
I just had a full rundown there, and you've heard nothing.
Nope. Well, I'll tell you what, Curly Willy, you can always go through the race director or Lord JB yourself and repeat what we missed.
All right, we'll do a quick fire run right now. So Kenayanda and Caribbean Crush on the front row of the grid, the two championship drivers. We're not too worried about then. Then we've got Danny Railton and Tarjam on row 2, Shumi Garcia and Drew on row 3, Jason and Maznat on row 4, and then at the back of the field we've got RDB and Valdemar, who actually failed to set a time in that qualifying session.
And then we've got you hiding at the back.
Oh yes, are you at the back, Curly Willy? Are you at the back, out the way?
Yeah.
That's superb, so that's one thing. So here we go, guys. We've got 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights waiting to jump on board. And the lights are out, but here we go. So,
Kane's got a shocker.
A bit of lag there by Drew, so let's just jump on board quickly with the leader. Beat Kane Leander, sorry there, guys. We've got there now slowly, as he seems to be hunting down Caribbean Crush. They are 2 World Championship drivers, so we will flick back to Danny Railton, who's currently in 3rd with 3 cars, 2 side by side, all running a bit deep into turn 3 there. Nicely coming on. Ferrari there again, all a bit mixed up there. Ferrari, Force India and Haas is getting all a bit feisty down into turns 3 and 4, but all looking a bit smooth. Hopefully no one's got any damage. Guys, anything happened everywhere else? And Curly, are you back with us?
Yep, I'm back on now.
I'm on board with Maznat. He's chasing after RDB, who's right up his gearbox for a moment, but I think he's gone a little bit too wide and lost position. But Jason, he's had a shocker of a start. He's just gone right down to the bottom.
Whoa,
Not sure what's
sorry,
going on
just
there.
want to jump in. We've got Valdemar and Shumi Garcia going a bit tight into the chicane before the fast left-right hander. It's getting all a bit fighty down at the back, guys. I don't know if you want to come join me, but we've got about a 7-car chain that can kick off at any time, considering we had wet qualifying, now a dry race. Bit of a train forming.
Yeah, I've just watched RDB go up the inside of, I think it was Drew, into turn 9. Very good move from him, and he's pulled up to 7th.
Oh, that's a Force India.
It's a spin. It's Danny Railton is off the track. He's facing the wrong way. I want to bring up Valdemar as well, who's gone from P10 to 4th on the opening lap there, and I believe we have Shimi Garcia's perhaps waiting.
Ooh, something just happened there. I don't know what I saw. A has got clipped there. I believe it was Shumi Garcia. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Did you see what happened?
All I saw was just Shumi sideways.
Oh well, that was
I'm not sure if he
interesting.
was trying to slow down and wait for Danny Railton there. Perhaps he was the one that caused that incident. But yeah, he currently has half of a front wing as well. And for those of you who haven't experienced wing damage on this game yet, losing part of your wing is pretty much deadly to your race. So
Maznat in the wall.
yeah,
Sorry to cut you off there. Maznat in the wall. He's just overtaken RDB, I believe, and he's just put it in the wall. No wing damage I can see. Sorry to cut you off there, Curly Wee, but these two are swapping and swapping places like no tomorrow, and it all seems to be going hell for leather everywhere. Back over to you, my man.
Yeah, as well with the wet qualifying, it gives a free choice of tyres for the race, and we've got a number of different strategies here. Currently our leaders out of the reserves, Tarjam and Valdemar, are both on the super soft Maznats, gone for a set of the ultra softs, and we've got RDB on a set of the softs as well, so lots of different strategies playing out here. It should be a one-stop race, but we'll see how these guys get on with the strategy. RDB
straight online. Straight
yeah,
online.
He's locked up that inside right tire, that's the unloaded tire, into that corner, and he's just he's gone very, very deep there. So perhaps running a little bit too high of a brake pressure. We'll see how he gets on the rest of the race. But yeah, just struggling with the braking, it seems like, at the moment for RDB.
Yeah, not looking good there. We just jumped back and we caught the end of it. We're catching all the little bits happening behind. We did catch a little bit of lag by Drew there. I hope it's just the early part. We're seeing a bit more, so we may have to have a word with Drew after the event. But there seems to be a few battles brewing, but I've just jumped on board with Kane Leander, Caribbean Crush, 2 World Championship drivers, absolutely flying. So they're enjoying their practice sessions. It would be, they go live next week. Currently in 3rd place, Charjam, as Curly Willy said, but we've got Valdemar, a WS driver who is participating in the World Championship reserves, actually starting to hunt Tarjam down now. So other than that, guys, I'm staying on board with Valdemar, seeing how he hunts him down, unless you guys catch anything else that kicks off elsewhere.
Drew's just overtaken RDB. I don't know how legal that was because of the lag, but I think RDB might have had to just let him pass because of how bad the connection was. I'm not sure how bad it is to him, honestly. But Curly, what are you looking at?
Yeah, I'm looking at this RDB and Drew battle as well, and Drew is kind of warping all over the place. Very, very off-putting as a driver to have somebody moving around like that in front of you. Although Drew looks as if he's lost it, and he's going to come across the track, and he's hit Drew, and that's caused, who is that, Jason, to come into the back of him, and Jason has completely lost his front wing. He's got absolutely nothing there, and he's got to bring it into the pits and get a new one.
RDB's in as well. That must be heartbreaking for Jason to lose his wing like that on his teammate as well.
Well, we've just jumped on board with Shumi Garcia. We did catch all of that happened, guys. A very unfortunate event there, but you guys did a cracking job of summing it up. But Shumi Garcia was closing in on him. We heard he had a little moment at the start, and he's just sailed past a few cars there and bumped himself up to 6th now.
And as well, with Jason having broken his wing, he's now had to wait for Drew to get a new front wing in front of him, and now he's only getting, this is an incredibly long pit stop for Jason. He's going to be very, very far away down the field.
He must be raging there.
Not looking good there at all for the McLaren team. Whoa, Valdemar, where are you going into the wall? Terminal damage. Oh my god, this is not looking good, guys. Every time I jump on board with a car there's a crash. This is not good. Sorry, guys, if it's a commentator curse, but Valdemar, a massive moment there out of the fast left right hand chicane. Too much curb, a bit of grass, a bit of gravel. Woof, send him straight over to the right hand side. Hopefully the stewards can clear that car away fairly quickly. Stewards, what am I saying? Stewards, marshals.
Of course, no safety car as well at the moment, unfortunately, due to the issues with that. So, for those guys that have dropped a long way down, we're looking at RDB and Drew and Jason. They've got a long race ahead of them to try and make up that gap.
Just something to touch upon quickly. Jason's gone onto the ultra softs. Now that's no way near going to get him to the end. So he'll have to make, I think, at least 2 more stops. Am I right, Curly?
I think this set of tires and then one more set should get him to the end. I mean, doing an ultra soft from the start is possible. He put those on just a lap ago, so yeah, I think he'll be okay. He could probably put on a set of super softs for the second half of the race. Depends what tire sets he brought, but I think he'll be all right just to do one more stop.
Yeah, a bit of information there, guys, for the tyres all round and a bit of strategy there. But I've just had a quick nose round the field, guys, and it's gone very, very quiet. All cars seem completely spread out, but as Tarjam seems to be pushing his far at present, that's who we're on board with. He's around about 2 seconds off the lead in third place, so doing a little bit of a nice job there. The leading, shall we say, WCR driver. So yeah, a bit of an interesting, erratic 2 minutes there, guys. Sum that up.
Yeah, it's been very messy. Now the grid has been, with all the incidents that we've had, various spins, front wing brakes, crashes, the grid is very spread out. So now for the drivers, they've really, this is the point in the race where you can't afford to lose concentration. You've just got to keep putting in the lap times and slowly work away at those gaps in front of you. So yeah, I mean, this is just going to be probably a fairly quiet period of the race. So these guys have just got to get their heads down and put in the hard work.
Oh yeah, see what happens. Possible change of strategies, you never know. But it's only a test session for the guys around that are part of the WC, and Caribbean Crush, Kane Leander currently leading, but currently on board with Tarjam still, guys, looking quite good, quite stable on his super softs. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's unfortunate, but one of those things, I suppose. It's one of those things we touched upon when last season, the last game, with the admins there present. I mean, Curly Willy, in a situation like that with the 2 McLarens and that moment, would you think ghosting would be appropriate there, or do you think that was a fair outcome?
It would have been nice, but we've got a move coming from position. RDB making the move on Drew through turn 1. There's a little bit of contact there, and oh, that's a good save from RDB. Well done, mate. It's a really good save from him to stop his car ending up in the wall. Just a little bit of contact sent him wide, and yeah, he's right on the back of Drew though. Drew's still lagging a fair amount.
We jumped on board.
Something I wanted to touch upon, just discussing Drew actually, is the fuels, different fuels with the new Spectrum fuel loads. Drew, for instance, only has 0.75 laps of fuel, jumping around because of his lag. Whereas if you look at Tarjam, he's got +4 laps of fuel. So Tarjam is pushing. He'll be pushing a lot faster than.
Oh, we've had a big lockup from RDB. He's gone into the gravel. He's tried to come back on the track, and he spun the car at turn 10, and that's going to cost him a lot of time. And now Jason is going to have an opportunity, and yes, Jason should be able to get past him here, and he does. So from what was looking like a very, very bad position for Jason after that pit stop, he has made the place, well, at least one place back up after that spin from RDB, who spun it again.
RDB in the wall. Oh.
He's lost his front thing there, and it's a retirement as well. It was a very heavy hit. So yeah, RDB, I think just grass on his tires perhaps, going through that fast left-right, it's never going to end well.
Oh no, so currently we've lost 3. RDB the most recent, Valdemar, Curly Whirly's a commentator's card, so that's not one of them. But we've lost 3 on the left-hand side, ladies and gentlemen. We're down to 8 now, guys. I've never known Australia to eat drivers like this before. I don't know about you guys.
Wait till tomorrow, see what happens there.
Ooh, that's not very nice. Is that because you're on track, Lord?
No, I would have been on track, but someone promoted me. Now, I think the World Series are going to be much closer together due to most of them having similar assists. So they should be closer together, more action, unless you're like me when you end up at the back.
Ooh, that'd be good to
sorry,
see.
Dropped again. Maznas has gone straight on at turn 1, but he's back on the track. He locked up his front right.
Wow, this is a bit of an interesting race this evening. All new drivers to F1 2017. It's our first live event with our World Championship reserves, and it all seems to be kicking off. We've had a bit of everything so far, but we're not getting the safety car to bring this pack back together, which is a shame at times like this, as we're all aware. But no, looking good at this bleak time. I would just like to say this is Front Row Racing. You can find us on our Facebook page. If you're currently viewing, that's our YouTube channel. If you feel like you want to come along, give it a go. This is the non-assist World Championship reserves, and drop us a message, and hopefully we can get you racing along these guys on track today. We normally have a few more of our World Championship drivers, but being the first round and a bit of a late notice with the start and going live, they may have not been notified in time. But yeah, this is Front Row, guys. Give us a shout, find us on Facebook, come along, give it a go. Anything happening, guys, or is it all still spread out?
Oh, they're very spread out right now.
Very.
Well, we're getting to that time. Curly Whirly, pit stops. What lap would you pit if you'd started on, say, the Super Softs?
Super Softs, you'd be looking at probably lap 12, 13. Head on a set of softs, take that to the end. Those guys on the ultra softs, we're heading to pretty much the pit window now. That would be Maznat. It's the only guy that's still on the ultra softs from the start of the race, so he might be looking to pit fairly soon. But he's got a very big gap in front of him and a very big gap behind him. So yeah, and for those guys on the softs, they'll be looking to run very long, maybe even go on a set of ultra softs at the end of the race. So that's Danny Rolton and Drew possibly.
Yeah, it could be interesting. We may see a move with the strategies, who knows. But I'm currently on board with... Who are we on board with? I believe it's Danny Railton. No, it's not, sorry. I do apologise. It was Shumi Garcia. All drivers seem to be, that I've noticed, struggling with the curbs on the exit of like the fast chicane. I mean, what do you reckon that is, guys? Could it be set up, or is it everyone just trying to settle into the first live event of Front Row Racing?
Yeah, it could be that. I think that with the fast chicane, it's a very difficult corner. You really want to make sure that you're not still heavily on the steering when you're going through there. If you are going to use that curb, then you want your steering angle to be pretty much straight, just so that you're not getting spat off of it into a wall. And I've always thought with this left-right that you should somewhat sacrifice the first part of it, the first apex, to get a better run through the second. But yeah, it's a very, very difficult corner.
Not nice. I mean, I've had a few practice sessions around here myself, and I'm finding it a bit difficult on the wheel. If you get it wrong, well, we've seen it just chews you out and throws you out the other side. But if you get it right, it's so rewarding. But yeah, a bit of a unfortunate events this evening. I've noticed Caribbean Crush is now 9.5 seconds ahead of Kane Leander, so it'll be interesting to see how the two World Championship drivers get along there. Tarjan currently still third, 15.5 seconds off the lead. Maznat fourth, 34 seconds off the lead now. Gaps are starting to grow as the World Championship drivers push now. Shumi Garcia in fifth, 51.6 seconds off the lead. Danny Railton sixth, around the minute mark now off the lead. Drew in seventh, could just coming up to be lapped, so traffic may play a part in Caribbean's hunt for the win this evening. But Jarson, one lap down. That is our current 8 runners that are left. So just a bit interesting, guys. It's going to be a bit of I don't know, an interesting festive watching cars go around like Scale Electric at the moment.
Well, yeah, just as a comparison to the World Championship drivers, we're seeing Tarjam hold this gap to Kane at roughly about 6 seconds. So yeah, I mean, Tarjam clearly showing that he's on a fairly similar pace to some of the championship drivers, which is very good to see. We saw him last season on F1 2016, and he looked very impressive in the races there. So yeah, it's no surprise to see him out front of the reserve drivers.
No, it's good to see there. As you said, he was here last season. Give it a go, come along. He was a standout character. I remember him from towards the end. But yeah, noticed up on the left hand side, ladies and gentlemen, we have got a timing screen which is currently off the leader. We're going off the gaps, currently going back to 4th, 5th of what the leaders are doing. And it is interesting, it's good to see fresh faces coming about, and hopefully we can get drivers like Tarjan into the World Championship and bring more competition that way. So come along, guys, give it a go. We want to see more and more of you, as Drew's now gone a lap down to Caribbean Crush. It will be interesting how the front runners get through the traffic, depending on how many cars they catch up. But yeah, come along, give it a go. We're still looking. There's a few spots available. We should have had more, but unfortunately, with the late notice, they may not have got notification in time. But going forward, the grids will get fuller. So tomorrow evening, we have got our World Series guys going at it in the reserve event, and again, that has got as we've all seen, a bit more as Tarjam comes into the pits here. A bit more interest, so the grid should be full and a bit more interest there, but we'll see how these guys get along tonight in the World Championship reserves. Hopefully we won't see any more drop out, but it'd be interesting to see how we go as we're watching Tarjam go onto the Ultra Softs curly whirly.
That's surely going to be a 2-stop from here on out. Probably going to try and do 2 stints on the ultra soft tires.
Sorry to interrupt you. Maznat's just gone straight into the dividing wall at the edge, at the entrance of the pit lane.
Oh my god, sorry.
That's not something you want to do at this event. He's knackered his front wing, but he's oh well, that's going to drop him far behind now.
Well, if there's some silver lining there, at least he's close to the pits to get it fixed. But I don't think I've ever seen that. I don't think I've ever seen that at Australia. I've seen it at some other circuits, Hungary and Spain, but never here. Did he just try and pit and get it wrong, or was he caught in 2 minds? Do you know what happened?
Well, I can tell you exactly what happened. As he came in, his left wheels hit the grass, so he just lost all traction and just met the wall.
That's a rough one. That'll be an extremely frustrating incident. Something silly like that will, yeah, that's a very infuriating thing to do. You know, a lot of incidents on track. Sometimes you just gotta hold your hands up and say, oh well, you know, that's just something that happens. We saw it with one of the crashes earlier on, with Drew spinning across RDB. You know, there's not a huge amount you can do to avoid that. But an incident like that, you know, hitting the pit wall as you're coming in for your pit stop, that's a frustrating one. And Maznat's dropped all the way down to 6th now.
A lot of work to do there for Maznat, but yeah, as you said, it's one of those things that have been brought up time and time again. And yeah, when you have a silly little moment like that, pushing the limits, trying to go in, you can gain so much, but as you've seen, you can lose so much in the process. But it's good to see the guys pushing it. I mean, they're trying to get everything out of what they're doing on the in laps, out laps, everything. So all the guys are pushing today. It's just a shame the grid isn't as full as we would like. However, this is all good stuff. It would seem all drivers still spread out a little bit, but we're currently on board with Shumi Garcia, who's got Danny Relton behind him, 7 seconds behind with Maznat, now the man that needs to push like a bullet.
Yeah, Shumi Garcia still to make his pit stop. So it'll be interesting to see where he comes out. He should come out in front of Maznat if he pits fairly soon. But if he leaves it too long, he might actually get jumped. The undercut around Australia is very strong.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a new thing for you, just off the glitch referring to tyres. On my timing board, I've got it saying what tyres everyone's on, whereas on it's saying that Maznat's on the super softs, whereas on Maznat's car, it's saying that he's on the ultra softs.
I can confirm he's on a set of super softs.
Oh, probably just a glitch for me then.
Good old Cody still can't get the little minor things sorted out, but as the game's getting better as we go, guys, we can't knock it all the time. They give us more and more, but yeah, as we go, we just jumped on board with Maznat, and we can confirm on our screen he is on super soft. So interesting as we go. Just jumped on board with Tarjam, who on his ultra softs. Be interesting to see on what type of gap he's going to pull in. He's currently 14 seconds behind Caribbean Crush. Have any of the 2 leaders pitted yet, guys? Do you know?
Well, yeah, Caribbean Crush has just boxed. Tarjam putting in the fastest lap of the race, a 1:25.6 on these ultra softs. That's a pretty good time. He's looking to get after these guys, but he knows he's got one more pit stop to make. So, whereas Caribbean in front of him, who has just pitted for a set of softs, should be going to the end on these tires for sure.
Okay, there. So just caught my eye there. I thought a bit of hope maybe we could see Tarjam mixing out with the World Championship guys this evening, but unfortunately it all seems to be just plain sailing for the guys that are front at the moment. But great showing by Tarjam so far, halfway through the race. We're currently on lap 14, coming up to the halfway, should I say. All drivers still look spread out, but am I right in saying is Maznat now catching Danny Relton, guys? Maybe we see a battle shortly.
It is, but also just on the Tarjam point before we move on, with him being on the ultra soft tires, compared to Kane, who's currently leading the race on the soft tires, still going, he hasn't stopped yet. Tarjam is pulling that gap in, so it is possible that he'll jump Kane in the pits, but he'll have one more stop to make.
Ooh, so
Just
yep.
on pit stops, I noticed when I was watching Jason go into his pit stop, I wondered if he had a 5-second penalty, but then I realised he hadn't remembered that he has to. There is no pit assist in this league, being no assists, so he had to hold the clutch himself. And he was a bit slow coming away, so that could determine where you come out if you mess that up.
Oh yeah, it's a new feature on F1 2017. We have clutch release points in the pits now, guys. So a little point there, Lord JB touched upon. You can lose time or you can gain time. So it'd be interesting to see how the drivers get on that with how we go through the season. It's one of those things that can win you a race or lose you a race. So I'm looking forward to that feature. But is Maznat any closer to Danny Railton, guys?
Well, I can confirm that he is now, as Danny Railton is in his sights. I was on board with him coming around the final corner, and suddenly there was a pink force injury in front of my eyes. I thought, oh, he's caught that gallop quickly.
It should be interesting. With the time feature on the left hand side, ladies and gentlemen, we can keep an eye on the gaps live, so no need to flick. Ooh, Maznat, I believe, was just pushing the limits there. Got a bit too much grass on the tyres. Ooh, seems to be pushing the limits all the way as he goes. Really pushing the car now.
I think it might be a little bit of lag. He is an Australian, so with the spectator, it might be not quite accurate.
Fair point there, Curly Willy. I did forget that for a split second. But no, he's there now, so we'll see how this battle unfolds. And I don't suppose if one of you can keep an eye on Tarjam, who's pumping in fastest lap after fastest lap. And when Kane does pit, he will now be behind Tarjam.
Yeah, it's going to be close between those two. Tarjam's just set the fastest lap of the race 3 times in a row. The gap between himself and Kane is 23 seconds. Now, when he came out of the pits, that was 27 seconds. So he has a good chance of jumping him here. If Kane pits now, he might still come out in front, but it's going to be very close.
Be interesting to see how that unfolds. See how the likes of Tarjam, one of our reserves, if this does happen and Kane does pit before Tarjam.
Got Maznat on the back of Danny Railton here, is in the DRS coming down the main straight. See if he can close up a little bit towards him, and he is closing, but not enough to make a move into turn 1. Danny Railton goes defensive, and Maznat's going to get a cutback line. Oh, almost. Danny Railton just losing the rear of the car there, and it actually works as a phenomenal defensive move because Maznat had to back out of that. Otherwise, they were going to make a lot of contact there. So, yeah, Danny Railton looking like he's struggling on these soft compound tires. Maznat's going for a bold move all the way around the outside at turn 4. That's not going to work. Not really an opportunity, overtaking opportunity, as Danny Railton gets the place back. And yeah, Maznat looking, well, it looks like he wants to get past very quickly here.
He does indeed. We're currently on board with him, and he looks like he's willing to do it anywhere. Give him the chance, and he'll go for it. And he's just proven that, trying to go round the outside. Track limits, that curb out there. If you dare it, you crack on, son. It's one of those ones that can put you in the wall. But is he going to dare a move on the way into the fast? Left, right? Nope. Might line one up on the way out. So here we go. Let's see what he's got. Has he got the grip? Better line. I don't think
Danny
he got quite close.
Danny Railton with a very good run through there, and he's on. Danny Railton hasn't pitted yet, so he's on 17 lap old tires at this point. So those tires are going to be absolutely screaming. I think for Maznat, he's just lost a little bit of ground there as well. We'll see if Danny Railton pits on this lap, and no, he doesn't. He continues on. So for Maznat, he's got, well, I mean, Shumi Garcia's up in 4th, and he's got to make sure that he doesn't end up losing too much time to him. He's in the DRS again, coming down towards turn 1 again. He's not close enough to really make a move. Closes a huge amount on the brakes. Danny Railton again losing the rear of the car through there. This is going to be the moment for Maznat. He's got to get this move done. Makes a beautiful dummy, fakes left, then goes right, down the inside into turn 3. They're still side by side. Danny Railton defending with everything that he's got, but Maznat has the position. Danny Railton, oh, he's almost lost the car there. But yeah, it was a really good move from Maznat.
Good stuff there. We were on board with it and caught every little bit of there. We did notice we had a yellow flag. Oh, what have you seen, Lord?
Sorry, just coming down into turn 2, Caribbean Crush. No, we shouldn't be talking about him, but he lost his rear end. So he almost hit the wall, but he just managed to catch it.
Ooh, you can talk about him a little bit because Tarjam is there, and if he keeps having moments like that, Tarjam may catch him up, and you never know what could happen. Lose a front wing, cost you a lot of time.
There was something whilst you guys were looking at Maznat, I've worked out is that, Kane Ayanda, who almost hit the wall there, I've been looking at his full telemetry. It's saying that if he pitted now, he'd come out in 2nd. Now, that would put Tarjam very close to him.
That would indeed. That'd be an interesting little fight with Kane coming out on slightly colder tyres as they re-enter the track. But yeah, we'll see how that unfolds, if or when, because we believe, as Curly Willy said, Tarjam may have to make another pit stop, and Kane Leander will have Tarjam in his sights on his top left-hand corner, seeing that time come down. So Kane Leander maybe just playing a game.
Kane's in the pits now.
Oh, here you go. Keep an eye on Tarjam, guys, because he is now 20.2 seconds behind him in the last sector.
I think Tarjam's going to get the jump on him here. It's quite a long pit lane in Australia. I think he's just about done enough in this stint. He's been putting in fastest lap after fastest lap to try and get this undercut. And I think he's going to do it.
Kane's left the box. He's out the box.
Tarjam coming down the back straight now. Oh, it's going to be very close. Kane just leaving the pits. Tarjam's in front of him.
Oh.
Tarjam's in front of him. He's jumped him. Really good work on the undercut there. He's now got to try and extend this gap if he can. Although Kane's on fresh ultra soft, so that's going to be difficult. But now it's really, you know, Kane's come out of the pits. He's 13 seconds behind Caribbean Crush, but he's on the ultra soft tires, whereas Caribbean's on the soft. So can he run that down in 10 laps? It's not completely out of the question.
Well, we saw Caribbean. Well, I saw at least Caribbean having that issue. So Caribbean's tyres could be at the point now they're saying we don't want to go anymore.
That's very, very true there. Those two World Championship drivers will go at it. You know, 1 week left until they go live next week. So it'll be interesting to see how they get on. But Tarjam, we're currently on board with him because Kane Leander starting to get his car tyres up to temperature on the car, pulling him in hand over fist. So I think there might be a move coming up shortly with these two. So we'll stick on board with Tarjam unless you guys see anything else happen, and see what Kane does when he gets to the rear.
Danny Railton has just pulled into the pits on his soft compound tyres, and he's going on to a set of super softs. Wow, that was unexpected. To take him to the end of the race. Those will comfortably go to the end of the race, although I think he could have gone to the ultra softs if he wanted to.
He might not have had a set.
Yeah, that's true.
Very true there, but as we're on board with Tarjam, Kane Leander, he must have the motor up now. Excuse me, he seems to be reeling in very, very quickly. He's just outside of DRS at the end of that lap, but yep, gets any closer, he'll be able to see how
I
the
think he's going to get it
working.
without it.
It's close. Ooh, Kane's one of the later guys
look.
on the brakes, but yep, not feeling too bold and brave there, but it's just a matter of time, just a matter of time.
He's going to get in this lap. I'm going to say it now, he's going to get in this lap.
Yeah.
Both these guys got plenty of fuel. Definitely running rich on the straights. We'll see here. Kane's had a pretty good exit out of that corner. He's right in the slipstream of Tarjam, but again, he's not going to be able to get past on this braking zone. Oh dear, huge amount of lag for Tarjam, and he's just come straight back into Kane. Kane has broken his front wing, and that was not a fault of either driver. It was just a lag incident there, and Kane is, well, he's now struggling back. He's gonna have to pit with that amount of wing damage, and that's gonna put him quite a long way back down. That's gonna put him back into the clutches of Shumi Garcia and Maznat, I think. But yeah, just well, a huge lag spike for Tarjam causing that.
Not good there. Unfortunately, we're on board there, guys, and we caught the whole thing. So it might be something we need to look into, one of their connections or what happened from the points of view. But in the process of that, we did lose Drew as a retirement, possibly terminal damage. If Lord JB can check on that.
I had a look of Drew. He just pulled off and didn't have. All he had was front wing damage to me. That's all I saw. So I don't know if that was frustration or if he's just or if he's decided that's enough of lagging. But it sort of seemed to me that once that Drew retired at the same time as Kane made contact with the back end of Tarjam, but Kane hasn't changed his wing actually.
Oh dear, no. That's a big mistake from Kane. So, for those who aren't aware, with the settings on this game, if you have your front wing change set to auto on your MFD, what will happen is that it will only change the front wing if you have red damage or worse, and I'm assuming that that's yellow or orange for Kane. So when you get wing damage, you have to set it to yes to get that wing change. It's well, I think it's a problem with the game. I don't understand why Codemasters have done that, but yeah, Kane's come in and he's probably going to have to make another pit stop with this wing.
No, yep, that is
Yeah.
one thing we touched upon in the test sessions. Thank you very much for elaborating on that there, Curly Willy. It saves me doing it. You're welcome back anytime. Uh, no, but it's very, very true, guys. Everything Curly Willy said there about the front wing, take note. It's very true. There's something with auto, and yes, with depending on how much wing damage you got. Silly little feature. Should have been sorted in the patch, but unfortunately wasn't. But take note, guys. Always move it to yes. Otherwise, you will not get your wing changed. So...
Well, I'll just jump in here. Sorry. If
Yep.
Kane stops now, though I'm getting a bunch of lag off him. If Kane stopped now, he would be very good to Maznat, who it's saying that he'd come out in fourth, but it's saying that Kane would come out, who he has now pitted, saying he'd come out still in third. But I think Maznat would be very close to him.
Also, just going to point out, Shumi Garcia has just made his first pit stop. He's gone onto a set of ultra soft tires and he's come out just ahead of Danny Railton, although he should be able to pull away on those faster tires. But Kane, yeah, he is getting that front wing change now as Maznat's coming into the pits for another stop.
Maybe he's
so
going to go
perhaps he won't jump him.
But interestingly enough, I saw Shumi when he came in for his pits as I was cycling through. He was changing his front wing. So maybe Shumi had some damage. I'm not sure how long he would have been driving with that, but maybe he might have had an incident with Drew, which caused Drew to leave.
Yeah, it is a possibility. Drew had a fairly considerable amount of lag earlier on in the race, and as we're watching Danny Railton, he's not actually being dropped by Shumi Garcia at all. He's holding on to him quite nicely. These two are just a little bit behind Maznat on the track. Danny's not quite in DRS range, but he's very, very close. I think on this lap coming up, he will be.
Yeah, it's a battle we picked up on Curly Willy. It's the closest one on track, I believe, unless Maznat falls off the pace or Kane Leander, etc. We're now down to 7, so it's all going off, and parts of cars everywhere. As everybody needed a new front wing, and we have a yellow flag in sector 3, guys. Don't say we've lost
Jason
another one.
has had a spin. Down in 7th place, he's a long way off the back of the other guys with the problems he's had in this race. But he's had a spin at turn 13. I just caught him recovering from that one.
Okay, good stuff there. Well, we're on board with Shumi Garcia and the battle here with Danny Railton. Looks like the closest battle on track, with Caribbean Crush currently leading the race on lap 23 with Tarjam 16.9 seconds behind him, and the field after that is miles back with all the incidents that have taken place. So unfortunate, but it's one of those things in racing. The nicks and knocks, you got to take them as they come. Ooh. The Force India in the background there of Shumi Garcia. Not Shumi, sorry, Danny Railton losing the rear end. Getting a bit confused there. But yeah, it would seem though he's got good pace on these fairly worn super soft tyres.
He has, but he's not within DRS range, and I think that's going to be Danny's downfall. I don't think he'll be able to get within the DRS range once they get Matif in. So I don't believe Danny will be able to get that close to get DRS unless Shumi has a massive moment.
Wow, I've just noticed in the background, to add a bit of spice to these two, depending on what's going to happen, Caribbean Crush is now on the move. Oh, what have we got?
Maz has got past Kane.
I think Kane has just let him pass there. I was just hopped on board with him for a moment, and he was trundling around. So I think he's realised that he's a long way back from Tarjam, and he's decided that he wants to battle one of the reserve drivers.
Oh, could well be there. I remember doing it with you in Mexico, Curly Willy. It was a bit of fun, and then I found out you were pretty quick once you got up to speed. And I wished I never did it now, because you might have found some things out about me. It's never wise.
I recall you never admitted doing that, and now you've just admitted it. Thank you for that.
Yeah, well, I shouldn't have.
I think he's kidding. He's just trying to get a bit of psychological advantage before the season. I know what you're on about, Dave.
Good man. It's not working then. But anyway, this little battle between old Shumi Garcia and Danny Railton seems to have gapped slightly open by a few temps. And Kane Leander, Maznat, anything interesting happening there, guys? Is it just a bit of fun for Kane?
Well, he is in the DRS. He's pulled very close through turn 1 and 2. He's going to have a run down towards turn 3. As Caribbean sets the fastest lap of the race. Is Kane going to go for a move here? No, Mazda goes very defensive. Kane is extremely late on the brakes. They're side by side going through turns 3 and 4. And Mazda has actually been pushed wide there. It didn't look like there was any contact from Kane's point of view, but Mazda has... yeah, I'm just thinking, you know, that there's a big distance, so could be a little bit of desync going on there. But yeah, good move from Kane. Bit of fun for him. But yeah, I mean, he was extremely late on the brakes into turn 3, impressively so.
He was indeed, and around he went and got the job done. But it didn't look like contact from what we've seen. But it's one of those things, I guess, has been brought up, connection. But Kane raced away then. Looks like he's slowed down or he's running out of fuel. Looks like he really wants to have some fun today. So really teasing the World Championship reserves. Let's see if he races like this next week.
Oh, Kane.
Oh, what's he doing? We're on board. What's Kane
He's
doing?
letting them all through.
Ooh, okay.
Now he's gonna. Oh, he's wanting to show his speed because now he's got the leader right behind him.
You might be right there. I think Kane's playing a bit of a game here, but in front of them we've got No, not Shumi Garcia.
Danny
Railton. Sorry,
Danny
Will
Railton.
JB, spot on. Is he going to get out of the way? Or it's all gone a bit
I think this
chaotic.
could be a mistake, because Kane's let them all through to have some fun with some overtaking, but he's got Caribbean right behind him, and he's going to start getting blue flags in a moment here, as we're seeing Kane right on the back of Danny Railton now again into turn 3. He's quite late on the brakes down the inside this time, and just squeezes Danny a little bit on the exit of the corner and gets the move done. Caribbean now also trying to make his way past, so Danny Railton's not letting him go at the moment. And see Caribbean possibly getting involved in this battle as he gets a much better exit out of that corner than Danny, and he's going to try and go down the inside. Should be an easy pass with the blue flags, although Danny's just not interested in giving the place up, it seems. Oh, he has conceded it.
No, I did notice that. It could be one of those things, Curly, I don't know if you agree, where he had the blue flags, let Kane go and thought that was the car.
Yeah, it can be confusing. Your
Didn't
blue
think of that.
flags. The blue flags pop up and you think, oh well, this guy's been out front, and they pass you, and then you realise that actually you've just been mugged. I think we saw that at Monaco a few years ago with Verstappen following Vettel in the end of the race, and he was just sat behind him, and then Vettel would get the blue flags, and then Verstappen would follow him through before the other drivers really worked out what was going on.
That's very correct there, but we got Kane Lander now coming down the pit straight. He's got Shumi Garcia in front of him. A nice little battle unfolding towards the end where Kane wants to have some fun as a World Championship driver. Is he going to get it down into turn 1? Up the inside, nicely done, straight through. Kane looking quite good.
Almost loses the rear there. I was very, very close to putting it in the outside wall at turn 2. Shimi's trying to hold on to the back of him.
Yeah, didn't quite catch that. Here comes Caribbean Crush. Yep, straight through. Good to see there from Shumi Garcia. Caribbean Crush looking in a world of his own today since Kane's incident. Next up the road for Kane. Is that Maznat? Is he too far ahead?
Well, it's 2.1 seconds the gap. He's got, you know, just over 2 laps, 2.5 laps to do it. So I think there's a good chance here. See if Maznat can hold on to the place.
Maznat is locking up a bit, and I'm starting to get a bit of lag, so maybe Maz's internet just isn't holding up as much.
I think it will just be the distance, but Kane is reeling him in. He's taken half a second in that corner. He's taken 4/10 out of him in that those 2 corners alone, and including the run down the straight, he's taken essentially half a second out of him through 2 corners. So, yeah, Kane looking quite quick towards the end of the race here.
Yeah, looking very, very handy. Kane Leander going next week in the World Championship for the first time. Looking quite good for his practice at the moment and putting some money on him. But, yep, here we go. Lining up Maznat. I believe he's in DRS now.
Put money on drivers.
Hey, you never know. Might pay off one day. But, yeah, Kane Leander down into turn 1. Closes up the gap. Is he going to get the move done into turn 3? Looks a bit close. Kane Leander is mighty on the brakes down into this corner. Seems like he's got some good straight line speed. Down the inside, late on the brakes as he's been. Looks good, tidy. Looking for a switchback there.
Oh, he spun it. He spun it. And he's taking Maznat with him.
Okay, no.
And Kane's retired. Oh dear. Well, he's slowed up, wait for the drivers, have a bit of fun, and he's absolutely binned it. And that is Maznat with a broken wing and he's outside of the podium positions as well for the reserve drivers. And the winners of this are Shumi Garcia and Danny Railton, who just cruised on past up into third and fourth.
Yeah,
That's a new one.
bit different now. I think the old Bossa Haas might be having a word with him, Curly Willy. Not too sure about yourself, but could be interesting going into that event. A bit of fun there, but as you touched upon, it just didn't work out in the end. But one of those things. But a World Championship driver, come along, have some fun. Maybe shouldn't have done that in future events. Maybe not such a wise idea, because these gentlemen are here trying to prove themselves as reserve drivers. But moving on.
Yeah, I can also confirm that Drew, when he retired, he just pulled into the pits, and he says that he had to go to work, so that's why he retired from the race. No crashes there.
Okay. Well, we've now, as with everything that's kicked off, guys, Tarjam's on lap 29 and coming around the last two corners, guys. So we've now got 6 runners, 6 finishes it looks like, unless someone else wants to put it in the wall. But we're following Tarjam, lap 29, the only guy on the lead lap. As is my graphic wrong? Is he on the lead lap? I've got 29 to 29.
No, it'll be when Caribbean crosses the line, then the counter switches for the spectator cam.
That's apologies, guys. That's a very, very amateur mistake there. I slipped my mind, so it's been a long day.
I believe it was different on the previous game, so I think we can forgive you for that one. But, I mean, Tarjam has really impressed me today. He's had just a really solid performance here. He's had some, his lap times have looked good, and okay, he might be 20 seconds back from Caribbean, but Caribbean's somebody that, coming into the World Championship, that we would expect to see up at the front of the field. So being 20 seconds off of that across the race distance is not half bad.
No, I'd have to, excuse me, agree with you there. He's come along, he's picked it up like he was, never put it down from last season. So fair play to him. Good stuff. Hope to see him at more of our events and a bit more practice, and he could be pushing the likes of Caribbean Crush, myself or you, Curly Willy, if we come along to one of the sessions. So he looks like one.
Shumi Garcia just losing the rear of the car a little bit. Had a little run on the grass through the final corner there, but yeah, that's just brought Danny Railton back within that 3-second window. So if there's any penalties here, I don't know if there is, but Danny's just got to try and hold on to the back of him through this final lap.
Oh, Caribbean Crush has let Tarjam win.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think
Caribbean. That's interesting. That's a new one.
Yeah, no, we were off board with Tarjam, saw a car going slow, thought there was an incident, and it was the Red Bull of Caribbean Crush that is not out of fuel. So, fair play to Caribbean Crush. I've got to say, he's not a reserve driver anymore. He's got a full-time seat in the World Championship now, transferred from the World Series. So, yeah, fair play, allowing a reserve driver to win the event.
Yeah, this is one of the other problems with the new spectator mode, is that once the race finishes, you get stuck watching whoever you've just crossed the line, and we can't see the other people cross the line. So hopefully Cody's can give us a fix for that. But yeah, nice gesture from Caribbean there.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Curly, that is annoying, because before the patch, we could switch drivers when they cross the line.
Yeah, I'm stuck on Caribbean right now. Before Curly said that, I was thinking, wow, what the hell is that? Is my controller dead?
No, I'm sure it will either count down or we're waiting for someone. We will be carrying on in about 1 minute 45 seconds once this resolves itself. It looks like we're waiting for Danny Railton's car to cross the line now. So, here we go. It's been front row racing, guys. Our first official event. It's had a lot of ups and downs, sideways, round and round, crashing moments, but we've had it all. Here is the final order of our first official event after the podium feature. Curly Willy, would you like to run through the order, or would you like myself to?
If you can see it, then go for it. I'll go for it. Had a loading screen there for a little bit too long. So yeah, and the final running order for the reserve drivers is Tarjam taking the win with a 42:49 race time. Then we've got Shumi Garcia in second, Danny Railton in third. So those are 3 podium sitters. I know Caribbean's P2 there, but he's a championship driver, so we're not too worried about him. Then we've got Maznat coming in P4 after that incident, which potentially cost him second place in the race. And then I've got Stoffel van Dorn here, so Hopefully one of you guys has the correct name on that one.
Well, we have both McLarens missing, so we'll leave them as Alonso and Van Dorn, but the official drivers were Danny Railton and RDB.
Okay, awesome stuff. Yeah, it was pretty interesting final sort of 10 laps of the race there. I think that, I think that Maznat might not be too happy with how things went, but I'm sure that I'll be hearing about that later on.
Oh yeah, unfortunate events, but it's had a bit of everything. Not a great turnout. I mean, I was just about to touch upon this is Front Racing, guys. If you feel like coming along, giving it a go, we hold a non-assist and a assist league. So come along, give it a go. You'll start in the reserves if you're up for the challenge, and drop us a message, and we'll go from there. As I believe all drivers are joining, and I'm still stuck on the results screen, so. Whenever Lord JB or Curly Willy would like to start with our winner Tarjam, I'm more than happy for you guys to go ahead.
JB, you want to kick us off?
No, I'll let you do it because I've had to kick off a few times during the test sessions.
Okay, just a quick message to the drivers in the podium. We have all three drivers here now. Please just make sure your microphones are set to allow to be shared before we get started with the interviews. All right, so Tarjam, good win there today. Nice gesture from Caribbean, letting you cross the line first. I want to go back all the way back to qualifying and talk about the setup. Were you running a wet setup, a dry setup? What did you go for?
Well, I'm a bit surprised I won the race because Caribbean was out of reach, and I was on a single stop. Then I saw that I do something different and try to push Kenny Landa. I don't know. I'm sorry if I spelled his name wrong. Yeah, but so I went to a two-stopper. Actually, I was running a moderate setup. It's between wet and dry. So on the straights I was not fast, but in corners I was okay.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting to hear. Just with the battle you were having, particularly with Kane this race. I mean, Kane and Caribbean being the two World Championship drivers there. You had a very sort of similar pace to them, especially Kane today. So, yeah, I mean, does that give you a lot of confidence going forward in the season, knowing that you're up there battling with those guys?
Actually, I don't think I had a similar pace. So yeah, it's good to be catching up to the front runners, especially the World Championship drivers. But I don't think I had the similar pace. Maybe I was running a softer setup, softer tires, super soft and ultra soft. So maybe that was helping me catching them and pushing King Leander into a two-stopper. I don't know what happened here to him because all of a sudden I felt a bump from the rear and I went on the grass and all of a sudden he disappeared. So I'm sorry if I messed up his race.
I don't think it was your fault at all. We were on board for that one. It just looked like a large lag spike. It's hard to say from which car, but yeah, I think both of your cars sort of lagged into each other, and you ended up sort of on top of his car. So yeah, he got wing damage from that one and fell a fair bit back from it, and then he had to pit again because he didn't get his wing changed in the pit stop. So yeah, that'll be why. JB, you got any questions for our winner Tarjam?
How did you find it as a comparison from the 2016 game? We saw you on the podium a few times. How are you finding it now in the first race, being on the podium?
Well, the cars definitely have more grip, especially on the rear, so you can push into corners more than 2016. 2016 was a bit of struggle on the rear. So yeah, 2017 cars are monsters in going into corners. So yeah. 2017 much better grip.
Hey, if you got any questions?
Not a real question, to be fair. Thank you very much, guys, for throwing some questions Tarjam way. Tarjam, I would like to congratulate you on your first win. within the reserves. So well done. Even though, as we saw, Caribbean Crush, we believe, allowed you to have it, but fair play to him as he went. Taking away from what you were saying there, it's not so much you don't believe you've got the pace. It does take time, especially with no assist, to get up to speed, especially when you go into a new game. Excuse me, because we've seen you've got the pace. So stay with it, fella. It will come to you in the end. It just takes practice and consistency. That's all it takes, and eventually you'll find yourself up there facing the likes of me, Curly Whirly, Kane Leander, etc., etc. Just give it time, fella. Be patient. We all started somewhere, so but no, cracking race. I mean, you've come along. You had mixed conditions today. I mean, how do you feel your race went from your point of view? Good, bad, okay?
In quali, I bottled it. Had more like a second and 2/10 more than what I did. I ran long on the intermediates, uh, but yeah, it was nice to race with the guys. Especially I'm a cockpit driver. I drive from the cockpit. And driving that Ferrari in the cockpit, you don't have mirrors. So yeah.
That's very, very true there. What I will say to you, fella, hearing that is fair play to you. There is not many World Championship drivers that actually take that view and race with it. There's a few, but not that many. So fair play to you. You're actually doing better than I thought then, given the view you use. So fair play on your podium, fella. We hope to see you up here a bit more as the season progresses. Round 2 in 2 weeks' time. You may even get called up for our event next week. You never know. So, guys, would we like to move on to our second place sitter?
Yeah, let's go for it. Shumi, second place out of the reserve drivers today. I'm going to ask you the same question as I did to Tarjam at the start. Setup, dry setup, wet setup, what'd you go for?
Good evening. Well, I did my dry setup. Just I knew it was going to be dry in the race, so just went for it.
Yeah, we saw you have a couple battles throughout the field. Pace looked okay, but you were a little bit off what Tarjam and Maznat were doing. I mean, how did you feel that, you know, in the middle of the race? I know that you're fairly new to running no assist, particularly without the line. How did you feel that went, and did you find the race or did you find qualifying easier?
I got a question for you. Just a little bit off the pace.
I'm being kind here, Shumi, come on.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're right. I'm a little bit new to no assist, and especially for no line with a no line. But it was okay. I was just going through the race, trying to take it easy, just to see where my breaking points are, because I just started today with no line. Yeah, but at the end of the race, it seemed my pace was getting better, just getting used to it, and just managed to hold it.
Yeah, definite improvements as the race went on. That's very good to see. JP, any questions for Shumi Garcia?
I would have some questions, but I'm afraid that we've lost Danny Railton due to a nap type issue. So, Curly, if you have any more questions for Shumi, I'll try and sort out this Danny issue.
Okay, I'm gonna go on to the strategy then, Shumi. You went for the one stop. Did you ever consider a two stop, or was it always going to be that one stop strategy?
It was always going to be a one stop, and if I could do 29 laps on that super soft session, I could have done it, because my tire wear was on 50% at lap 20. So.
Wow, yeah, that's very good. Dave, you got a question for Shumi Garcia?
I've got a question. How you doing, Shumi? Nice result, fair play, fella. Nice to see you on the podium. One question: how is it being interviewed by your trainer, and how is the training going?
That's funny. Well, it's not that bad. I know he'll get to me later, but I'm on the podium, so that's a really good start.
Exactly that. Fair play to you. I mean, you obviously ain't been doing it too long without a few things. It may have just lost Danny there from the party, but moving on. No, you're getting new and used to a few things with no assists. I mean, is your goal to hopefully get a seat in the World Championship, or is this just practice purpose, one season, try and get used to it, or?
No, no, I'm just going for it. Every good result is a good result, and a good result for the team.
That's good stuff there. Is that all four of you or just the two of you?
I think it's for the four.
The four. I like that. No, it's a good thing to hear. I must admit, I helped someone last season. It's good to hear our current World Championship drivers or World Series drivers helping out drivers in little bits and bobs and tips along the way. So hopefully we'll leave Curly Willy to give Kane Anderson tips, but we'll leave that for another day.
Okay, thanks.
But no, congratulations, Shimi Garcia. Before we move on, Lord JB, is Danny Railton back with us, and do you have any questions yourself?
Danny is back with us now. There he is. No, I think you covered everything with Shumi. I do apologise, I couldn't hear most of Shumi's responses. I'm not sure why that's happening with me, so I'll have to watch back your responses on YouTube.
No worries there, guys. So, Danny Railton, are you there? Can you hear me, fella?
Still having trouble hearing you.
Struggling. We'll try and do what we can, fella. But how are you doing? How did your race go? Because it looked a bit interesting back there with some of the battles you had.
Hello?
Hello, Danny. Can you hear us, fella?
Okay, I think we might be having this NAT type issue again.
We could be indeed. You
there
might
we
be
go.
right there. Yes, Lord.
He's here now. Danny, you there, mate? You just said you could hear us. There we go. Right, Dave, continue.
Hello, Danny. Can you hear me, fella? Is that a no? Or
Okay.
yes?
All right. I'll take the questions then. It would just be a NAT type issue between the two of you. So yeah, Danny, the start of the race, we saw a lot of battling back there. You made your way through. What were the main things? I mean, you know, coming into the start of that race, were you just trying to be quite conservative, or did you go into the first lap thinking that you wanted to make up places straight off the bat? Yeah, it was a very impressive recovery from you, and yeah, I mean your qualifying that was a good one, but yeah, I mean I just want to go on the again for the strategy you went for that one stop. Did you ever consider doing the two, or was it always going to be the one? Yeah, it was great stuff, mate. Good drive. JB, any questions for Danny Railton?
You mentioned about your spin. Was that just driver error, or was that contact with someone? And how did you find coming out of the pits, coming out of the pit box yourself, using the clutch pedal yourself instead of having the computer do it for you? Okay. Okay. So that's everything from me. Curly, anything else?
I think that's it.
Oh,
Apparently, sorry, just to interrupt you. Apparently, Danny could not be heard on stream.
oh, okay. We do apologise about that, guys. What we will do, I will message Danny Railton and we will add his comments to the race review under his podium interview. So apologies about that, guys. That was something new. We believe we're having a NAT type problem between myself and Danny Railton, so we'll look into that. Other than that, guys, I believe our podium sitters have been patient and we've had them long enough. I just would like to congratulate them all. Is there anything else you two would like to add before we wrap up our first event here at Front Row Racing?
No, I'm pretty good. Anything for you, Curly?
I'm good, mate.
Okay, guys, well, thank you very much to Lord JB and Curly Willy for joining me on comms tonight. They've done a cracking job with the race we had at hand, which unfortunately wasn't full like we're used to, but hopefully that will resume back to normal with tomorrow's event. Please tune in. We will be with the World Series Reserves assists allowed. A lot of interest there, so we'll see how these guys do around the streets of Australia tomorrow. Other than that, I have been FRRC2GY85. If you're interested in coming along and giving it a go, racing alongside these guys, at Front Row Racing, drop us a message. You can find us on Facebook. We have our videos on YouTube. Have a nose, see what you think. Get in touch, see what you think of it. If you want to give it a go, give it a go. If not, walk away. But then you've tried and got the information. Other than that, good night, God bless. We shall see you tomorrow with our next event, the World Championship. We just had that one, the World Series Reserves. Tune in, 7:30. Good night, God bless.